All right, this is Obaid on behalf of V Electronics, and in this video, we'll be looking at our essays and APA format. Okay, so when it comes to essays, your essay could be a paper, it could be a research paper, it could be a written piece of material in some kind of format. Okay, it could be anything at all. Okay, as long as it's organized. Okay, so when it comes to organization, when it comes to structuring your essay in a particular format, we've got different kinds of essays. Okay, so we've got traditional essay, we have research essays, argumentative essays, opinion-based essays, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about traditional essays. Now, this is an essay that you'll see on your exam. It could be as part of your assignment. Okay, it could be something that you write for fun. Okay, so your traditional essay is more like a regular essay in a traditional format. Starts off with a thesis. It has topic sentences with examples, explanation, and information. Okay, it's got body paragraphs. Okay, with the five W's. So this would be who, what, where, when, why, your reasoning, statistics, your codes, and calculations. Yeah, and finally, you will have a conclusion, which will basically restate your thesis. It will emphasize your thesis and leave it some kind of insight into the future. Okay, next you have your research essay. Now, your research essay may be based on a research paper. Okay, this paper could be from a journal, it could be a newspaper article, it could be a report, it could be some kind of journalism report. Okay, science, it could be based off science, technology, findings from lab experiments, such as solar chemistry labs, your research notes that you find online, customer surveys, so on and so forth. Okay, now your research essay may be written like a traditional essay. It follows the format of your traditional essay with your thesis, body paragraph, and conclusion. Okay, so some of the steps that you need to take to write your research essay, you have to plan ahead for research, obviously. Okay, and you need to plan on a working thesis. Okay, so you need to focus on your thesis. That helps you stay on track. Okay, next you need your note taking skills. Okay, you will need your notes. Okay, as well as your outline. Okay, so if you're using a textbook, if you read your textbook, your magazine, your research paper, you'll need to take notes as you go along. Okay, and finally, you'll need to come up with an outline. Okay, which will lead to your rough draft. Okay, and then finally, your essay. Okay, you've got two kinds of research essays. You've got analytical and argumentative. Okay, so analytical has to do with analyzing content. So you're talking about who, what, where, when, why. Okay, this could be in a textbook, it could be in an ebook, your journal, reports, so on and so forth. Okay, so questions like how did this animal become extinct? Okay, what methods and procedures are available to preserve some kind of fish? Okay, so that would be an example of your analytical essay. Your argumentative essay, it will basically revolve around a certain question. Okay, so it has to do with debating or discussing a certain question. It could be a question like, is the highway gridlock in Ontario caused by traffic accidents? Okay, so you can use all kinds of arguments. You can use casual arguments, evaluation based arguments, proposal arguments, narrative, definition arguments. Okay, so when it comes to argumentative essay, you have to select the topic. That's step number one. Step number two, know your audience. Okay, so whether these are kids, okay, whether this essay is for baby boomers, okay, for middle-aged individuals, so on and so forth. Okay, next you will need your pre-writing techniques. Okay, so your pre-writing techniques would be things like brainstorming. Okay, so you're making a flow chart. Okay, well you brainstorm and then finally you outline. Okay, it could also be free writing. So free writing is basically whatever comes to your mind. Okay, next you will need your persuasion techniques. Okay, this could be your ethos, okay, which is basically building credibility for your writing material, your pathos, which has to do with human emotions, and your logos, which appeals your logical side. Okay, and finally, you have to prepare for the content of the essay. So when it comes to the content, unfortunately, your argumentative essay might have 5 paragraphs. You might ask why. Well, the first one is introduction. Okay, the other 3 are body paragraphs with the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, why. Okay, or okay, your illustrations, examples, so on and so forth. Okay, and finally, you will have a conclusion. Okay, but remember, this is an argumentative essay, which means you will need an additional paragraph. Okay, and what is this additional paragraph, you may ask? So this has to do with opposing views. Okay, so obviously, when you're arguing about something, okay, you need to write your view and the view of the other person, the other party. Okay, so that would be your opposing view. Okay, your classification and division essay. So this has to do with the rhetorical style. It gets split into information, okay, into parts, okay, into different categories. Okay, so basically you're trying to classify something, you're trying to divide something. It could be different departments in a company, right? It could be your accounting department, your advertising, human resources. Okay, you're trying to structure your business. Okay, you're trying to classify the different types of employees that work for your business. Okay, so that would be your classification and division essay. All right, so we'll have 3 paragraphs, okay, with an introduction and your conclusion. All right, your cause and effect essay. So your cause and effect has to do with outlining events and causes. All right, so let's say you start out with road construction. Okay, so you'll talk about how certain materials impact the type of construction, okay, cause and effect. Okay, traffic accidents. Okay, how traffic accidents cause gridlock. Okay, police checks. Okay, how police checks may cause a gridlock. Okay, again, steps. Number 1, choose a topic. Number 2, know your audience. Number 3, intro paragraphs, your body paragraph, and your conclusion. Okay, so 1 intro, 3 body, and finally a conclusion. Okay, so an example would be an introduction that talks about a certain kind of symptom. Okay, let's say poor circulation of blood, which may lead to, again, this will be your body paragraph, which may lead to plaque, okay, or some kind of blockage. Let's say a blood clot. Okay, eventually this blood clot will lead to heart attack, okay, or cardiovascular disease. In conclusion, you could talk about insurance policies relevant to that disease. That you could talk about some kind of insight into the future as to how technology will change the kind of surgeries that are offered to patients with this kind of disease. Okay, so on and so forth. All right, definition-based essay. So when it comes to definition-based essays, we're talking about defining a term, idea, or concept. Okay, so it could be a simple dictionary term, it could be an insurance-related term, it could be a term related to taxes, it could be a legal term. Okay, now obviously definitions are important when it comes to law, especially in the courtroom. Okay, so that's the reason why you have this kind of essay to help you define a concept, to help you define a term or idea. Okay, now definitions may include but not limited to denotation, connotation, enumeration, analogy, negation, so on and so forth. Okay, so you will have your introduction again for this type of essay. Okay, this will give you the need or the reason to understand the definition, for example, for purpose of law or legal matters. Okay, then you will have your body paragraph, which will talk about the technique. Okay, when we say technique, what are we talking about? So we're saying negation technique. Okay, this could be definition compared to other things. For example, enumeration technique, which is basically all the stuff in the word. Okay, all the characteristics of the word in question. Okay, and finally you have analogy. Okay, which is basic comparison between 2 items. Okay, and finally, for conclusion, you will summarize and restate your thesis. Okay, that will be your definition-based essay. Okay, next you have your compare and contrast. Okay, so for your compare and contrast, you could be talking about similarities and differences between ideas, concepts, items, and places. Again, same format. You have your intro, three body paragraphs, and conclusion. Okay, when it comes to your body paragraphs, you could use your combination method, your block method, your alternating method. So when it comes to alternating method, you can talk about one item and discuss the other item right away in the same paragraph. Your block method, one paragraph for the first item and the second paragraph for the second item. Combination, you could use your alternating and block method. Okay, descriptive essay. Okay, for descriptive essay, we talk about different senses like touch, taste, sight, sound, and smell. Okay, now in terms of technique, you can use active versus passive senses. Okay, so when it comes to your pre-writing techniques, okay, these are similar to other types of essays. Okay, you have a good intro, okay, you have your body paragraphs, and finally your conclusion. Okay, an example would be air travel. Okay, so your body paragraph will talk about air travel for certain vacation destinations. Okay, another paragraph will talk about the entire flight experience. So we're talking about senses, touch, taste, sight, sound, and smell. And finally, the last paragraph, which will talk about the air tickets and why the air ticket might be the best option for the traveler, okay, rather than going by road. Okay, and finally, conclusion, summarize the need for air travel as well as benefits. Okay, illustration. Okay, this essay is based on examples. So basically, you're illustrating whatever it is that you need to be illustrated. Okay, whatever it is that needs to be illustrated. So examples would be things like Hollywood. Okay, examples would be things like um, movie making softwares. Okay, examples would be things like whatever it is that you can think of. Okay, narrative essay. So when it comes to narrative essay, this is a rhetorical style which simply tells a story. Okay, story is clear, it's descriptive, is in some kind of order. Okay, so you have your opening, okay, then your build up, possibly leads to a climax, your problem could be your climax, your finally solution, okay, your final solution, and finally you're in. A process essay. When it comes to process essay, these are basically step-by-step direction or guidance as how something is done. Examples include your essays based on wiki or a recipe book. Okay, again, you have your intro, your three body paragraphs, and your conclusion. Okay, citation. So MLA versus APA. So your Modern Language Association, this is your MLA, and American Psychological Association is your APA. So when it comes to APA, all right, you have your in-text citation. Okay, so this is something that you write right beside your sentence, in your body paragraph, in your conclusion, or your introduction. Okay, and you can see the three examples over here on the screen, whether this is a single author book, a book written by two authors, or three or more authors. Okay, and finally you have references. So when it comes to references, if it's a single author book, you want to write your last name of the author, the first name, and the middle name. Year of publication, your title of the book, italicized, and finally the publisher. Okay? If it's a web page, your author's last name, first and middle initials, okay, as well as last names and initials of any other authors. Okay, your date published or updated, your title of the web page italicized, the name of the site or the website, as well as the URL. Okay, and same goes for online book. Have the last name, first and middle initials, okay, year of publication, and finally your URL. Okay, and that would be the reference for this essay, whatever content we had in this presentation. Okay, so on behalf of American, excuse me, V Electronics Canada, this is Obey. Have yourself a great day.